Hello, my name is Jennifer Toe, and today I will be discussing the elastic and inelasticity of demand. The definition of the price elasticity of demand is a measure of the responsiveness of demand for a product from consumers to a change in that price. So, demand is elastic when a small change in price produces a large change in demand. In this example, I will be talking about the Apple iPhone 10. When it was introduced to us a few years back, it was introduced with a higher price point compared to previous iPhone models that Apple has released. With this release, the first time ever, the phone was priced at a little bit over $1,000. I believe it was $1,100-$1,200 or so for the basic model. At that time, because of the higher price point compared to the previous phones, Apple did receive a little bit of a backlash as to why the phone was so much more expensive compared to previous model where the highest price point was, I believe, $600-$700 at that time. And because of that, there was not much of a demand for the iPhone 10 as there was for new iPhone released in the past because of the higher price point. Now, fast forward a few years, Apple has now released a new line of phones, I believe iPhone XS and the iPhone XR. And generally speaking, when Apple releases a new line of phone, the previous model has a significant or a drop in pricing. And the iPhone 10 is now valued at around $800 to $900. And now that the price point for the phone has dropped a great deal, there's now a demand for that phone because it is now a phone price respectively more to what the general can afford or is willing to pay for the phone. Demand that is inelastic is when a large change in price produces only a small change in demand. For this example, I will be using gas prices. Typically speaking, I would assume most Americans have a car that they use to get to work, get to school, whatever it may be. We've seen gas prices go from $2 to $4, and I believe it is now almost close to going to $5. And when gas was $3, although we complain that price is high, it's not that we are going to drive our car less or more because of the price of gas, because gas is a necessity for us. We need it to get to work. We need to go from point A to point B. So now I'm sure you've all seen in the news, gas is $4, already $5 in certain area. But again, just because gas prices has risen in price, it's not going to change the habits of Americans. Some of us we're not going to drive less, or we're not going to resort to taking public transportation or even carpool. It's become a necessity, and because it's a necessity, we will not change the demand of that product. And another example of inelastic items can be items such as electricity, water, food, items that is essential to our survival and items that we're not willing to give up, and it's items that we need typically every day versus elastic items, which are items that we can live without. It's more so of a want than a need. So if I were to explain elastic and inelastic items, elastic items are items that I want, and inelastic items are items that I need. And this concludes my presentation of the price elasticity and price inelasticity of demand.